Hi everyone, before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the Kulin Nations people who are the traditional owners of the land where I join you from. Today I pay my respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are joining us for this event this evening. So, of course, this evening, as you would know, which is why you're here, we're going to be talking black hair today, and this land is black land. This land is stolen land. Sovereignty was never ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Namila Benson. I'm an arts journalist and a broadcaster on ABC Radio National. I also wear a number of different hats, but one thing I'm very proud of is being a sister, because I am absolutely obsessed with everything to do with black hair. And I'm so excited to be facilitating tonight's conversation. Joining me to talk hair, I'd like to welcome Moreblessing Maturure, who's an actor, writer and creative director of Folk magazine. Also Flex Mami, DJ, podcaster, TV presenter and upcoming author as well, which is incredibly exciting. And the wonderful Ayeesha Ash, who's a multidisciplinary artist and also co-founder and arts director of arts company Blackbirds. Please give our panelists a round of applause. So I want to start off by asking each of you, this panel tonight is called Good Hair. How do you define good hair?
It's just not a phrase I would use. Not in my vocabulary. And I would definitely wince if someone used it in my presence as well.
For me, it'll be one of those, noted. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. I respect that. No.
Yeah, good hair. You've got it. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's there. You've got, I don't know. You feel good.
But what's it tied in with for each of you? I mean, is it texture? Is it thickness? Is it length? Or is it curl pattern?
I think you go.
Okay, for me, I have a history of when I was younger, I used to relax my hair. And so I've just come on this lovely adventure of not relaxing my hair for the past, 10 plus years. And so I can now just have my hair as it is. And for me, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Flex, were you going to add to that? Oh, more blessing?
Yeah. I think for me, the part of that, the eyes widening is when I hear it, there's so much weight attached to it, which does pull in all that texture, curl pattern, color, length, all that stuff that I'm like, use your words, use more words. What do you mean? What are you saying? Say it with your chest. Don't make me now pull apart this thing you've now packaged together. And now I'm like, use your words.
It's one of those things where in this context, this is why I love precise language, because like Moreblessing was saying, it's that we're using this very weighty phrase to communicate something that could potentially be quite harmful or quite complimentary, who knows. I would put it in the same, I put it in the same box as coloured. Like if somebody says coloured around me, I'm like, alarm bells are going off. I feel like I know where this is going to go, and I want us all to stop and let's just, pick your audience. And so I understand in the context of this discussion we're having, we're talking broadly about hair and our relationship to hair, but I think I'm swapping good hair for hair neutrality, in the sense that I want to have very little emotions about my hair. I don't want to tie my value to my hair. I don't want to think about what my hair is saying or not saying. I don't want to think about how it's making people feel. I don't want to think about if it's appropriate for this environment. I just want it to exist.
And I think this whole thing of tying our value to our hair it's for real though. Like I think we all do it in some way or another. So talk us through the impact of hair in your life and I guess the role it plays in shaping your identity. I'll start with you, Ayeesha.
Yeah, I think for a long time, I really didn't know how to have a relationship with my hair, I guess. I mean, it's always been part of me. So there, I guess I inherently already had a relationship to it. But in terms of, I grew up in a very white neighborhood. There was all white kids at my school, and my mum has a very different curl texture to me. And so neither of us really knew how to care for my hair. And I think that as I've gotten older, I've decided, and I think that's been a kind of experience of me just being comfortable with who I am and finding myself as a woman. But I've just decided my hair is my hair, and that's what it is. And like, I can do what I want to it, or I can just leave it as it is. And at the moment, like, I've never had my hair braided or anything, and that's just because I'm enjoying this moment of me just loving myself as I am. Because I kind of went on this journey that was a bit slower because no one in my family who I lived with had any kind of hair similar to me. So it was a long experience, and for many years I just wore it up in a ponytail. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I wore it up like that because I wanted to. But I think, you know, as Black women, we're often given these kind of circumstances or told stories that, like, if you wear your hair a certain way, this is what it says about you. And it wasn't really saying that much about me. It was just what I knew how to do. So I, you know, but yeah, I enjoy my hair. I love my hair just as much as I love the rest of me. And I feel like there are a lot of stories in there, and it's a connection to my family and the women in my family, and, you know, what will be, but it is what it is, and I'm happy with it. But don't touch it.
Flex, what about you? You've got a very public persona, and I'm wondering, as you move in really very white spaces, which is what Australian media is these days, what role does hair play in shaping your identity, particularly as one of the few Black women working visibly in media?
Yeah, I mean, I've always moved through predominantly white spaces, like since childhood as well. I had my I hate being Black phase, as I'm sure we all did. So, no, so when I was younger, I don't think I consciously considered what Blackness was and how that tied into hair. But, oh, can you hear me?
Oh,
yep.
Oh.
I'm not quite sure what's going on.
It's an Auslan interpreter.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so we've got an Auslan interpreter who's joining us, which is wonderful. Welcome, Paul. Welcome.
Apologies.
Let's hit reset on that, Flex. So you were saying.
Yeah, so no thoughts.
Yeah.
Yes. Growing up in white spaces, I don't think I consciously thought about like the connotations of Black hair and what that meant for me. I just knew I wanted white hair. So a lot of my childhood and adolescence was the journey to making my hair appear more white, so I would appear as white as a Black person could appear. So like fry it, dye it, cut it, side fringe it, clip in, extension it. The textures are doing something up here and something different down here. And that was cool. And then I don't think my perspective or my relationship to hair changed, but my taste changed. And I could recognize that my hair wasn't looking good. And so the journey that then started or conceptualized was, how do I get my hair to look as good as I know it can? And then later on, I only recognized how inherently political it was, and almost the message I was communicating by not embracing a natural style. Like Ayeesha was mentioning before, hair says so much. Black hair says so much. And we place values on how people wear their black hair. We associate very positive qualities, and when I'm talking about I'm talking about from the black perspective. Black people place positive qualities on people who've assumed their natural hair texture. They must be politically woke. They must be, you know, fighters, comrades in this fight against white supremacy. They're doing the work. They're walking into spaces and showing up. And everybody else, well, you're a vehicle for white supremacy. Why don't you love yourself, they'll say. And so suddenly when I could recognize, by not putting context around what I was doing with my hair, I was communicating that I indirectly didn't love my hair, didn't like myself, which is not the case, I think. Part of what I hate about having to be Black publicly is the justifications I have to make for things that aren't that important to me. So this long conversation we have to have about my hair, I have to come on here and articulate that I've not really thought much about it in a way that is like politically driven. I just know that if I walk into a space and I've got 18 inches of European hair, it's not going to hit like it would if I walked in presenting in something that appears more natural, even though this is 18 inches of plastic.
But you could never tell, Joel. That's the
thing. Tell. And that's the gag. Yeah.
So how do you negotiate then? I mean, you know, having white hairstylists work on your hair for TV.
Nobody.
You don't.
Yeah,
you don't.
It's hard. Every single TV set, shoot, it's just so you know, I'm coming on set with my hair done. Just so you know, I'm coming on set with my base applied. I just feel as though I've given too many non-Black hairstylists and artists the benefit of the doubt, and it's proven me wrong almost every single time. I don't want to be made to be somebody's testing dummy so they can seem like they've done their bit for the day. So I don't negotiate. I set clear boundaries. And I recognize, like you said, being one of the few visibly Black people in a predominantly white space, it is honestly, it's become a duty. Like, I feel like I'm principally Black now. Like, there are tons of things I would like to like move and like be gentle with and create leeway, but no, like, like, you know, when you watch Love Island or something and then you watch like the one token Black girl come on and they haven't laid her wig properly, and now all of us are like, oh no, her wig's not done properly. It becomes a conversation point that I'm like, let me not set myself up for that. Let me show up ready to represent for all my Black people.
Moreblessing, what about for you? I mean, as a performer, when you have to hit the stage or the screen, how do you go with encountering folks who adequately have the skills, the knowledge, and the respect to be able to do your hair according to what your gig is? Oh, did you hear me?
When? No, I heard when.
Huh? It's not happening.
I've never been to Uva Java. I don't know her. No, it is that thing when you sit. It's the sitting down. It's like, oh, this is going to be fun. It's I'm excited to, like, we're playing. I'm not playing at 6 a.m. Let's do the thing. I think there was a choice somewhere in there, that thing of like being publicly Black, being openly Black, as an openly Black person.
Literally.
There was a choice somewhere in there. I think it was even just like doing headshots and things like that. I'm like, and I think it was a conversation with my agent, and I was like, hang on. I remember replying like, what headshot did you send with that? Like, who are they expecting, or like what aesthetic are they expecting? And then I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. Also, if you sent the one with the braids, I don't have the time today to do that for tomorrow for a gig I might not get. So absolutely not. And so I was just like, let's just go short. Let's see how that goes. And then that was like a whole thing of that thing of like, what is this now communicating? What space am I now traversing in? And bless their souls, they're trying. I remember being in a conversation and like this guy was like, yeah, like it's really good, you know, like your hair is like, this is a black guy. It's so good to see like a representation of like a true African woman like out there. And my face went, what is that? What, and this is a conversation around hair. And it's like, you know, then like, yeah, feeling like braids aren't truly African because of the extensions. Like the only true iteration of like an African woman is with short hair. And I was like, yeah, like yelling inside. So like, I don't even know where to start in kind of breaking this down. And then remember when I sort of cut my hair, and I also went through like the relaxer phases in high school. When I cut it, then I was like, oh, what's my relationship to femininity and how much of that was tied into how my hair was shaped and held and everything that was coming from that. And I remember even after I was like, no, like I'm going to fight these gender norms. These gender norms got hands. It's TikTok audios from me. That's all we're getting. When I was like, I cut my hair and then I remember being like, oh, like I'm wearing makeup more regularly now, even though it was like never a part of like my daily routine. Oh, I'm wearing earrings. I'm doing all these extra things to codify femininity that I didn't used to do before because I'm somewhat compensating for what I think people are reading from me. Sometimes truly, sometimes being perceived at, communicated with, engaged with as though I am masculine, and then that shifting when people realize otherwise, and then I'm like, why? Just leave me alone. Mostly it's that.
You know, we all live in a country where blackness is still a curiosity. There's not a big understanding or level of respect that's always extended towards black bodies. And, you know, we read and hear stories about how literal babies, like young kids in primary schools, are told that they're going to be expelled if they don't change their hair, or they're told that cornrows or braids are an absolute no-go. Even in the military, there's particular styles which are specifically black, not allowed in the military. Have you ever experienced a situation where you were asked to change your hair? And I'm wondering how you responded. I know that working in TV, and I got out of it a bit over a decade ago because I was told that my hair was too big and so was my makeup. So it's things like that that kind of push you out of the space and make it very clear that you're not welcome unless you adhere to these impossible standards that naturally you're not able to. You can't make your skin lighter, you can't make your hair straighter, etc. Has anyone experienced having to the expectation to change their hair?
When I was in dance school, because my hair now, I would still consider it short, but when I was younger, my hair was like real short, teeny tiny, tiny. And when I was in dance school and we did ballet, I had to buy my mum had to buy the little fake donut, the fake hair bun, because my little tiny ponytail apparently it didn't look right. No ballerina would have a bun that small. So I had to get this fake donut that, let's be real, looked terrible. So that was the real only experience I have. But then kind of in the same circumstance, like in the same dance school, one of the first dances I ever did with them, the costume was To Blame It on the Boogie by the Jackson 5. And part of the costume was to wear a pink afro wig. So I had to also do that, which is like so wildly different, but the same. But I'm really glad that at the time I didn't understand it. Do you know what I mean? Like that would have destroyed me as a kid. Now I'm like, I can kind of laugh about it and be like, well, that's wrong. But yeah, I'm very glad that I didn't have that comprehension of what that really meant, I think.
What about for you, Flex?
Yeah, it's tricky. I feel like people don't, because I know I'll say something, like not afraid to yap, you know, I'm very principled. But what I do get these days, which is just as irritating, is the request. Can we make a request for the hair? And like Moreblessing said, are you going to pay for me to get these braids done and the time it's going to take for me to do a job outside of the allocated hours provided for said job. And suddenly it's a backtrack. It's but we just thought and we just assumed because can you just whip it up at home? And I don't know, I'm not a non-Black person, so I don't know if, for example, my fellow white presenters are having casting directors say, can you make sure you come with the ponytail? Can you make sure you come with the braids? We want this to appear more this, therefore, can you do your hair in this way? And if you respond with the same stupidity you're getting, you get nowhere. So you kind of have to make a personal choice that, am I going to see this through and say, yeah, great, I'll come with the ponytail. Yeah, great, I'll come with the braids. Or do you let it go? Because I feel as though if someone has fixed their fingers to type that, that's not the person you want to start reasoning with as to why it's inappropriate, why if you don't get it, you don't get it. And people just don't get it. So what I've had to find myself doing is recognizing where I can fight a battle and recognizing when I just need to set a hard boundary and say, this is an odd request. As you can see, this is what my hair looks like currently. So this is how I'll be showing up to the shoot. Mm-hmm. If you would like to provide a Black hairdresser to do my hair on the day, I would love that. But it gets quiet. So we don't do that anymore. I feel like also part of what I'm learning to do in these discussions about hair and beauty that feel a little bit racist, but not racist enough to call it out, is to share the discomfort. I don't think that somebody can recognize how odd it is to have someone pull apart, how do you say in the same phrase, come as yourself, but now make requests on what my hair does. And, can you look a bit more cultural today? I'm not sure what that means. So what I do is, instead of harboring that discomfort for myself and being a warrior, because 2021, we're soft, we're babies this year, I share the discomfort and I say, that's an odd request. Could you please specify? Are the other people on set also getting this? Is there an expectation, for the other people on set to also do this? And suddenly it's, oh, you know what? Actually, it's fine. You look great. Come as you are. And then we all leave happy as you can be after being ogled.
Moreblessing, do you want to add to that?
It's so interesting. I think my equivalent of that is often, at some point, maybe 2019-ish, I started doing in the response email, if I was going to jump on board, would be so here's some hairdressers, here's some makeup artists, doing that work and being there you go, do that. You already have a team, but you have me on there now, so then find more money. Whether it happens or not is always 50-50, then I turn up. But often, what I often experience is oh my gosh, we don't have to do anything here. This is amazing. And I love it because 9 times out of 10, I have gotten out of bed and gotten to set. I have done nothing about my face, nothing. And I'm just arrived. And then I'm do you not know? Do you not, is there no reference point of what good hair or what kept hair looks like in this context? Do you what's your reference point for when does this need to be combed? Do we need to trim this? What's the hairline like? Are those markers that you have? I guess maybe it's also that thing of I don't know, white folks are less likely to know how long braids have been in, but other Black folks would know. It's okay, it's time to change these. But you could turn up with 4-month-old braids and then be quiet, no back talk, keep it moving. and so I'm just, it's that thing of I guess, I'm going to be the one who looks a fool if I go in with bed hair. So
this is the thing. And I feel some people who might not find themselves on professional sets don't really understand how odd it is when a company has invested tens of hundreds of thousands on this ad campaign, on this shoot. We've got models, gaffers, lighting people, hairdressers, 3 stylists. Everyone's come in. it's, you know, all systems to go, and you're like, great, let me get in on the action. You know, I want to feel like I've been transformed as well. And you see your counterpart next to you, she's got 3 makeup artists. Let's do some really amazing curls on her hair. And they get to you. Okay. And so it's connected from, okay, yeah. Do we have any hair ties? Can we use hair ties? Okay. You know what? I just feel like exactly what you must have spent a lot of work on that, haven't you? So what we'll do is let's honor the work you've put into, and we'll just keep it as it is. And it's so humiliating and so condescending because, you know, what's happening in the separate room with the client is they're having a D&M, a back-to-back on, well, what do we do now? And this is meant to be a luxurious shoot and we don't know what to do with our hair. Or this is meant to feel a certain way. We can't convey that. And so it's humiliating enough to know that your presence in itself is creating an issue for people, even though you've been invited there. You've done your work. You show up, you tell your lines, you do what you need to do, but you become so hyper aware of this like chasm that you've created. And then what becomes more humiliating is when you have to start feeding people, you know, examples of what they can do to help you look more presentable because you weren't considered initially. So no, the Schwarzkopf gel isn't going to slick the edges. I'm so sorry. I thought gel would have worked, but not that gel. And I mean, perhaps you can retwist my hair, but if you don't, you know, if your hands don't have the dexterity it needs, well, then we're just going to look messy. And so I think it's like, it's layered. It's not just like, oh, I made a suggestion about your hair. It's the fact that so many things were considered. Even your presence has a value put on it because you're paid to be here. And yet what you would need in order to do this job properly is suddenly like a consideration of yours. So you send them the hairstylist information. You send them the makeup artist information. You come with your makeup done. You come ready to go. You come ready to pivot.
I mean, it's a lot of mental energy that you have to expend on top of doing your job. It's so true, everything that you're saying there, Flex. So, and it can be humiliating, you know, when you're surrounded by an actual team of people who have no idea with what to do with your natural features. So how do you resist the negativity and I guess stand strong because we've got a lot of young women here and we've got a lot of babies and kids running around. What do you do to stand strong in the beauty of what you're born with naturally, especially when it is not reflected in the world around us?
I mean, I hate advocating for people to suppress, but I think part of what I've had to recognize just existing in this Australian landscape is that I can only do so much on my own. And, you know, there's not hundreds of thousands of us, you know, on the front lines doing the job. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 who have to bear the weight of what the industry won't do. If the industry was pulling up, ready to work with us, it would be so much easier. And so I don't want to say, prepare yourself to be disappointed because nothing will change and you'll have to make adjustments and be malleable. But that is literally the only advice I have. So much of what I tell people, especially Black women who want to be in this industry, is that you won't just do the title of what you're there to do. You're not just an actress. You're a hairstylist. You're a makeup artist. You're a producer. You're a lighting technician because, you know, they always get the lighting wrong. Oh, it's always the lighting wrong, you know? Suddenly you're a cultural consultant, a social commentator. It's all of these things you have to do because nobody's going to see it from your perspective, number one. And even if they do, it's a you problem. And so suddenly you have to reconcile with the fact that if you want to be in these spaces, then there are some adjustments you need to make your experience not humiliating and maybe even pleasurable. And it's one of those things where, you know, you don't want to be like, it's all on you. But in the case of like this Australia, it really is all on you. And what is worse is that after you put in all this effort to show up as honest and true and beautiful and articulate as you can, it's everybody else around you taking credit. Well, we found her. And we gave a platform to this Black woman and we allowed her to speak so candidly and so honestly. And thank goodness we were there to recognize this talent. Can you imagine if we, like Moreblessing said, if we came on set, showed up feeling busted, expecting to be transformed, didn't get transformed, got filmed as we were, and then that became the representation of Blackness to Black people? We know something's up. You know, like, we're having the hush-hush conversations, like, well, who did her dirty? Like, why isn't it sitting? Like, why is she grey? We're having these conversations, you know?
Why is she grey?
Is she grey? So it honestly is very frustrating, and you can only laugh or quit. So you must pick one of the two.
Does anyone else want to add to that?
I think I was recently talking to my sister because she started a new corporate job, and I like chatting to her because it's like different world. And I'm here, I'm like, I don't know, the budget keeps changing. And she's like, I get paid fortnightly. I don't know your life. Bye. And she had recently gone through interviewing process, and her hair's really long now. It's been growing it for 4 or 5 years. I just don't have the discipline to do it. Could never, not me. And she was then like, oh, I haven't done an interview in a long time. Should I braid it? She was then having the conversation of how do I present myself in this context where it's people, it's a new space, they don't know me, I want to be read as professional and all those things, and what are the codifiers? But then she's also equally then having the conversation of yeah, but this dynamic is not okay. I shouldn't have to do this. Candice just tied her hair up and she's here. Candice. That's why that's not equal. $300 and half my day at the salon is not the same as let me just brush this up with some water. And then also being and then when I get the job, do I then take my hair out? What does that say? Do they think I lied to them? Do they think I'm militant? All this stuff. And then she ended up just being yeah, it was that thing. I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to do this, to play the game. We're not playing games anymore. It's 2021. I don't have the time to keep up on the rules and perform how this song and dance goes. And I'll just let you know first. And so she I think she changed her Gmail little profile thingy with her head. So we know from jump, we know what's happening here. You know what to expect. If you've got a problem, that's for you. But, she'll probably then, when she starts going to the office, have, oh my God, this is so fun. And that's its own thing of how then she manages and holds her space.
And I think it's one thing trying to show ourselves within a workplace because, you are limited in terms of what you feel comfortable with revealing, right? And I wanted to ask each of you, at what stage of a relationship, especially an intimate relationship, but also a friendship, say with a non-Black person, do you feel comfortable enough to reveal your Black hair routines, your rituals? Because I think that's a really interesting thing that so many Black folks do face.
Well, for me, I don't think I have any rituals or anything as such. I'm pretty basic, but when I first was with my ex-boyfriend who is white, I had a weave.
Was white.
Was white, still is.
Colonized him. He is white, okay? He's still around. Anyway, when I was with him, I had a weave. And when I got it taken out, he didn't understand. He just thought I got a haircut. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to explain it. Yeah, I got a haircut. Whatever. So I've never really shown any of that to anyone. I've just rolled with whatever they've thought because I don't have the energy to explain myself to someone. Especially in an intimate relationship, I'm already fighting this stuff on the outside. I don't want to come home and fight this, and explain myself to you. I just let it go. Bless his cotton socks, you know what I mean? He didn't mean no harm. I couldn't be bothered. And that's how it went.
I'm the opposite. I'm very much context, very much over-enthused this thing so you don't get it twisted. So I think what I make sure to do is ask people, okay, here's an example because it's also my white ex-boyfriend. Look at us. Shame. But,
Not shame.
but I made sure, I went to that first date, no makeup. It was raw, natural hair. And the profile pictures, you best believe I had variation. We had twists, we had the pony, we had a wig, because I wanted to set the standard that like, this is what it is. I'm not going to show up as like a naturalista on the first day and keep up the facade. And I'm not going to come full wig, full makeup because I can't be bothered. I really wanted to make the distinction clear though, because I feel like as much as we don't want to talk about these things that make up, or like these metrics of blackness we have for ourselves, or these like, you know, little rituals that we do that confirm our blackness, they come up. And I don't want to be having a conversation in 3 months' time about, you know, why I don't have to wash my hair as often as you do. I've had that conversation before. Could you imagine me trying to convince someone of my hygiene because my hair is high porosity? I can't do it. I refuse. So it's definitely a lot of extra context and letting people know, like, I know for a fact you don't have context about blackness that isn't very American-centric. I know for sure that you don't know what an African person is like. So it's extra, extra, extra. I'm like, get in the roots. I'm like, help me take my braids down. Get in there with the raw fingers. Wow. Peel the dead skin.
Break the little braids apart, the little like the build up, separate the braids.
Not that much, but you know, the point I made is, you know, you have to be across it.
Yeah, wow. That's so interesting, that point even about like dating app profiles. I have consciously done that of like, this is braided hair, this is headscarf hair, this is wig hair, this is just got it cut hair. And you're like, yeah, because I'm like, and I think most of them is just like, remember the face. Again, I don't want to turn up and you be like, oh, I didn't think it was you. Like, I don't, I've done it once, I'm never doing it again. Again, see, it's like these things are just like, know the landscape. And then, I don't know. Then I'm like, maybe, I don't know, what would my experience be if I was to meet a white man? And he was like, oh, I really like your crochet braids. Like,
very specific.
Like really specific. Like, I don't know.
That don't happen. That doesn't work.
It's going to crush the street now.
It's not real. It's a figment.
It is. So living in Australia, how do you each learn how to care for and manage your hair?
Oh, thank God for the internet. Thank God for the internet. Let's throw it back. Let's shout out to the internet one time, because without the internet, I'd be nowhere. I just have my hair in a ponytail every day. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I can find a product now. I can do a little review of a product. Yeah. I can find someone who I know who's tried a product. I can get not only someone's auntie to send me the product, but I can maybe go into a store and find the product now. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Moreblessing with a TWA. How do you go about finding products to take care of a short afro?
Circling back to the level of effort I'm willing to put into my hair, it's more of it's moist, let's keep it going. Like it's going to the barber every 2 weeks. It's this is not my job. I can't. Maybe a little baby oil, but it's like rarely ever, because then you have to consider where's it going to go, where's on the pillow, you know, all these things. So at the moment, it's just a spritz of water or the moisture from the shower, and then that's it. I don't have time. I can't. As I love the community, but headache just felt wrong. It just felt wrong. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of maintenance. Hey, what do you do, Flex? Like, how do you...
I the illusion that I care for my hair. I, in fact, do not. I tried going natural, and then similar to Moreblessing, I said, I'm not here to do extra work. I got to the point of damaging my hair from overworking it. So now I let it live. I will definitely still relax it. You can't fight me on that. If you have ever dealt with your hair in its natural form, you know it's hard work. I'm trying to separate myself from this labor-induced lifestyle I've created for myself. I don't want to work. I don't want to anticipate extra labor, extra day, every day, just to show up as neutral. Anyone that does their natural hair routine, the hours you put in for people to come comment saying that it still looks unhygienic, where's the ringlets? I thought it would be softer. No. So I am a fan of low maintenance hair. So I'll relax it, put it in a bun. Relax it, put it in a ponytail. Get twists. Let it look a bit ratty. I'm a relaxed girl. I'm laid back. I don't mind. So yeah, I just, like I said, part of me would, any kind of hang up I have about my hair was learned. Like my environment dictated how I felt about my hair. And so any kind of thinking that I do about it takes me back to that spot where I want to overcorrect. And I want to show up as like the natural, but like, with the specific texture, or I want to have the bob, but I want it to move, I want it to vibe. I can't be doing that. Yeah. So right now I'm kind of like, what can I do to maintain a level of care that ensures my hair doesn't fall out, but also means I'm not spending more than 3 minutes max on it a day. And I think it's working.
Flex, I know you said that you had to get going soonish, yeah, like around 7. So I guess the last question I want to put to all of you, and you've all touched on it in various ways throughout this conversation, but what do you love about your hair, and what's your relationship to your hair these days?
I love it. It's easy now. It's just what it is. Wake up, do a little thing if I need to do a little thing, and then I go, and I love it. It's fine. It's great, and I don't hate it. And that's big. That's big.
Moreblessing?
I enjoy my hair. It's a vibe, but then I'm also like, it's also just not there. I think it also took me way too long, and that's on white-centric society, to be like, wow, my head shape is great. I have a jawline. Like, excuse me? What was I doing? Trying to like get length? And I was talking to my sister about this yesterday. Whatever that hairstyle was, early 2000s, where you took the front part of your, and then you like twisted it and you pinned it and it was like a boop. Why was I doing that? And then the wind comes and then the rest of it's now like here, and I'm here with this like bump. Why was I doing that? Like there was a structure here. And I'm like, my head looks great. And I'm just like, yeah, huge fan. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
I'm fascinated with expression, as we know. I like the idea that I have agency over how I look. And it is expensive to like re-up a wardrobe and to, do hair and makeup. But something about like chucking on a wig if I want to, taking it off if I want to, showing up as I am if I want to. Like, although back in the days I would have seen that kind of variation as a hassle. Why can't I just wake up and put it in and on it? No, sis, like who else do you know can show up as they want because they can, because their culture allows them to, Like tomorrow, if I want to take these out and, put my hair in a braided, pony, I can do that because I want to. And that's amazing. So that's the bit I love. What I don't love is these prices, okay? Now, there's not enough time to get into it. But the fact that I now need to be a chemist and know how to braid my own hair, dye my own hair, relax my own hair, because if I go into a salon, it's like 4 figures. I don't want to be paying 4 figures, 8 hours in the chair, back pain, leg pain, neck pain, and then not even being that excited by it. That's another thing. I don't want to have to learn skills in order to show up beautiful and put together. Mm-hmm. The damage is done. Now I'm an expert. I'm an artiste. But if I have to do it again, I want to be a novice. I want to just sit in the chair and get the work done and feel good when I leave.
Flex, Moreblessing, and Ayeesha, thank you so much for talking black hair with us tonight.
Thank you.
Give them a round of applause. And my thanks to the M Pavilion staff and crew, also to Paul for doing Auslan tonight as well. Thank you, Paul. And thanks so much to Sabina McKenna for producing this Good Hair Talk. Get onto the M Pavilion website. There's more goodness happening across the weekend. So stick around, grab a drink, enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah,